First thing I want to do is just make a quick clarification. Jane represents the London Stock Exchange not just for China, but for Asia Pacific as a whole. Is that correct? Great.
Yes.
Okay. I want to kind of start very basically, and let's look at a big picture question. A lot clearly has changed in the last year and a half in terms of the world's markets, where capital is, where the interest is. In the last year and a half, how has the upheaval in global markets changed or affected the stream of IPOs coming out of China?
I think this crisis influenced every area, of course, including the equity markets. For example, I think IPO markets last year is one maybe the most quiet year. So on the IPO side, we only have 21. With total money raised, it's only a little more than 200 billion US dollars. But having said that, I think this year the things picking up very steadily and quickly. In the first 4 months this year, we see the IPO flow very steadily. We got 53 new companies join us. Among them, 31 IPOs with combined money raised 380 billion. The only first 4 months. So market's difficult, but I think it's picking up steadily.
Now,
sorry, you also mentioned China.
Yeah.
I think on the China side, we have 2 new companies joining, both funds. The large one is done by Fidelity China Special Situation Funds, and raised almost $1 billion, 900 million US dollars.
one of the things that I think was a misconception here in China for a very long time when it came to IPOs is the idea was, okay, if you're a Chinese company, maybe you'll IPO in Shenzhen, but then you'll go to maybe Hong Kong, and then you'll go to New York. And then something very interesting happened, and that is Air China chose to do their initial offering overseas, not in New York, but in London. And that really kind of caused a stir, I remember, in the markets here, because people were thinking, wow, Air China chose London, why did they do that? From your point of view, what are some of the reasons that would compel a Chinese company to choose London, perhaps over New York? Not casting aspersions on New York, but what are some of the advantages of listing in London?
I think a little bit of history. If you back five years ago, I think everything decided by the government. The government have they have I call it traffic control. They decided which company going where and how and when and how much. Even sometimes the price. But I think now things change gradually. And also, if you look at the pipeline, domestic or international, I would see from China. 5 years ago, majority of them are the giant elephant deals over the SOEs, but now more and more, I think it's on the private side. It's non-state owned. I think they have their own decision-making power. They will have their own say. So I think the situation will be different. Attractions for London, I think London in many ways is quite a unique market. One, I think if you say top 3, I think London is the most international market in the world. We have about 4,000 companies, but over 700 are from overseas, from over 70 different countries and regions. London is the only market, I think, regarding the market capitalization of overseas company is slightly larger than domestic, so we are truly international. And also on the trading side, again, we account over 1/3 of the total liquidity of the international or overseas equity trading. Secondly, I would say I think London is very matured, multi-layer, flexible market. We have a different tier of the market for the company to facilitate their different stage of their development and growth. We have what they call UK super equivalent listing, like primary, and then you have a secondary not sacred, because I think now it's called a EU listing standards, which much less onerous. So for both these two, you can do shares, and then you have another market. You can do GDRs or using domestic accounting standards or IFRS, and then you have AIM, which is high growth market. You can list it without track record, without profit making, but with high growth potential.
Do you believe that, in this age of globalization and what Thomas Friedman called the electronic herd, that it still matters where you list in order to get investor interest?
I think so. I do see the globalization of the markets. But if you look at a little bit more in depth, I think the globalization is on the trading side. Won't be take very long. You will have a global 24/7 non-stop trading platform, no doubt. But on the other hand, on the listing side, on the IPO side, I wouldn't say the regulation will be globalized.
Right.
So you still need to choose a market to be listed.
So you're really shopping for a regulatory framework that you can be the most comfortable in, that best suits your company.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, the news is filled with, for us out here, the news is filled with a lot of concerning developments that are coming out of Europe in the last few weeks. Does this affect, in your mind, what the business for the LSE is going to be, or regardless of what happens on the continent, will not necessarily England, but will the LSE continue its momentum? Do you think it'll still be a place of interest, or do you think that somehow the way people see Europe is sort of clouding what you're trying to accomplish with the LSE?
First, I'm quite confident. I think EU areas or the Euros doing extremely well, or almost one line straight up all the way. I think never things happen that way. So one is to get a little bit bumpy, or is have some adjustments, not necessarily a bad thing. And personally, I think quite confident the EU countries will gradually, going through the difficult period and go out throughout the woods, but not tomorrow, but will be. But as a market, two things. First, I think UK didn't join the Euro Union, so we still use sterling. Even though I think sterling is not the only currency we use in our market. I think the most active trading currency in our market, including 19 different currencies, and I think euro is only one of them. Number two is, I think London is not just London Stock Exchange is not just UK market or Euro market. I think it's international. So majority of the participants, especially on the investor side, they are from all over the world. So I don't think there will be any impact at all.
Okay. We're going to have to keep this relatively short, and I apologize. I wish we could spend more time. But one question I did want to ask is, what's ahead for you? I mean, recognizing that you've got a competitor in the audience and that we've got everybody around the world watching, I know you don't want to give away anything proprietary, but what are some of the new directions that you're going to be taking in the coming years with regards to China and with regards to Chinese companies, particularly the sorts of startups that we're seeing here?
I think the London market is very facilitating. We don't say we just concentrate on one or two specific sectors, but in general, I think it's definitely our main market. It's definitely, I think, the most sustainable and promising pipeline or companies from China is this non-state-owned private companies with high growth intention, the high growth potential and a very special angle, and of course, very good management.
Definitely, which is something, of course, that Kai-Fu was talking about earlier, is the importance of people in management. Jane, thank you so much for taking time. I know it's a bank holiday where you live, and so you've taken time not only out of work but out of personal time, and I really appreciate you coming and spending time with us today.
It's great pleasure to be here, and thank you for the organizer and audience, of course.
Great. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Jane Zhu.